Thanks so much for joining. I'm Melissa. I'm glad you're with us today, along with our support manager, Michelle. We're excited to walk you through proposal and document management in QuoteAnywhere. This webinar will walk users through how to effectively manage, organize, and update documents within QuoteAnywhere. Attendees will learn how to structure their document library for quick access and consistency, helping sales teams work more efficiently when building proposals and contracts. The session will also cover best practices for working with templates and revisions, sending proposals, and managing the full proposal workflow, from document creation to sending contracts for eSignature. After this webinar, you'll be able to manage and update documents within QuoteAnywhere, organize your document library for faster access and better consistency, use templates and revisions to maintain accurate proposals and contracts, send professional proposal emails directly from QuoteAnywhere, send proposals and contracts for eSignature, and understand the full proposal and contract workflow from creation to approval. As always, we want you to get the most out of today's session. So if you have any questions at any point, don't hesitate to ask. Whether you need us to slow down, revisit a point, or dive deeper into something, just drop your questions in the chat. Let's dive in. Michelle.
Thanks, Melissa. Good afternoon, everybody. And as Melissa mentioned, my name is Michelle, and I will be conducting this webinar today. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just start sharing my screen. All right. So as you can see here, we have a website. This is the QuoteAnywhere 612 version of our QuoteAnywhere. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to actually jump right in to talking about your documents and how to manage them per user in the QuoteAnywhere site. So let me just log right in. So for those of you that are users and not system admins, you will be provided in this, upon login, you'll have a menu item here called admin. This is somewhere where you'll also be able to manage your personal templates. And again, for those of you that are only users, not system admins, you will not see this selection, okay? What you will be provided, though, is this user settings selection here, okay? So from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the template maintenance. Okay, this menu will allow me to either create checkbox templates under the document options, document editors, which is going to control any of your cover pages, cover letters, scopes of work, or even your terms and conditions for those of you that are using our WeSuite document editor, as well as the email body, which is also a template that can be used when you are just emailing proposals and contracts to a customer, not using the electronic signature feature and functionality. Okay, so first thing here, I'm going to go into our document options. And again, as I mentioned, this is very specific to the checkboxes that are selected. This is a personal user setting. So any of these templates that are checkboxes that you create are only going to be visible to you. For those of you that are wanting to share this with other team members, you can submit a ticket to support, and we'd be able to possibly assist you depending on how many users, or if this is going to be a global kind of sharing. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do here to create my own checkbox template, I'm going to click New Template. And from here, I have the ability to select if I want a proposal or if I want a contract template. For those of you that are using the subcontractor module, we do not have specific checkboxes per user. Checkboxes are system-wide defaults for the subcontractor documents. Okay, so in this case, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use my proposal, and I'm going to select which proposal template I do want to create a set of checkboxes for. In this case, I'm going to select blue template, and then I would name the template. So new standard template. Okay, and I'm going to click here and create. Once I click create, you'll notice here's the new name of the template that I've created, also the template document that I've used, as well as the document pages and the document items that are in my document tree, right? So let me start with my document pages. I'm going to select my cover page, my cover letter, and let's just have some very specific. I have my client information, my project description or scope of work, my project budget, and that's it. All of that information is the very basic that I need. So I'm going to select those. And then the next thing I'm going to go into my document items. So under my document items, these are the specific checkboxes that will help you display specific pieces of information and how you want them to be displayed on your generated proposal. So I'll select my blue template, which is something that's custom to my template. And then I have the different categories. So I want to have my equipment display a certain way. And let's say I only want to show my equipment. I don't want to show anything else but my equipment and my RMR. So I will do those. And then the last thing is I want to show my financial summary. Okay. Once I've selected all of the checkboxes that I need, I'll click save. And at that point, now I have my new standard template for checkboxes. And what you'll see is when I go into the document screen for a job, this new standard template will be available for me to select. Okay. Next thing is I will want to go to my document editors. So again, my document editors is where I can create a scope template, a cover letter template, or terms and conditions. Okay. For those of you, again, that are not system administrators as well, or don't have the correct setting, you won't be able to create a term and condition for yourself. Okay. So in this case, I'm just going to go to my scope of work tab. I've created existing ones. And so let's just say I want to update my surveillance, right? So I could sit here and click configure. And here I have my templated stuff. Okay. So if I could bullet, you know, and I just say here, oops, here's my bulleting. And then I'm going to say 10 cameras, right? 10 mounts, oops, 5 monitors. Okay, let's just say that that's my standard. And then of course I can potentially build on this, or if I can delete it at a per job basis, but I'd like to have this templated. Once I have that done, I click save. And now when I use this in the document, it will have all 3 of those bullets available. Okay. Same thing, same concept would be for my cover letter, right? So I'm going to create a new cover letter. So standard okay, so I'm creating a standard cover letter for a new customer. And so I'm not going to write dear or anything because that's part of my template already, but I do want to write in a body. So thank you for your business. Excited to work with you, right? And I'll click save here. And so now I'll be able to select my cover letter template as well. Okay. Same concept again for terms and conditions for those of you that are system admins and your email body. Okay. Any questions on those so far? All right. Okay. So just moving on here, for those of you that have not seen QuoteAnywhere yet, you'll notice, so again, when I click this template maintenance, I had this available here. There is this little back button. I click back and I can actually go home. So when I go home, it automatically brings me back to the sign-in page, right? And what I'll do is I'm going to open up this job that I have in progress. And what I'll do is I'll immediately go to my document menu here. So I'll click document. And then what I'll do here is I have the ability to select checkboxes manually, or I can use the checkbox templates that I created, as well as scope of work, cover letter, etc. Okay, so I'm going to go in here. My proposal is already selected. What I'm going to do is I'm going to configure that. So I'll configure this, and here's my template configuration, and there's my new standard template that I created. Okay. If I configure this, let's just make sure. See, these checkboxes are the ones that I selected, right? We have our client information, project budget. If I decide to start taking or turning these off, right? So for instance, I go in here and I select full line item instead. You'll notice that the template configuration name reverted to custom, because at that point, these set of checkboxes are not the same as the template checkboxes that I selected. Okay, so again, I'm going to just reselect. Okay, and what I will do is I will also make sure that I add a cover letter and a scope of work. So I'll add my cover letter and I will assign a template. And there's the standard cover letter that I selected, that I created. Okay, this is just a warning to let me know that if I typed anything in that editor, it's going to be replaced. And so now it shows up here. I'll click save. Okay, and then I'm also going to add my scope of work. Okay, and I use surveillance. Again, just a little warning to say, hey, if you type something up, it's going to get replaced. And there's the 3 bulleted items that I updated. And I hit save. So now what I'll do is I'll click preview just to make sure that I've gotten all of the items that I need, all of the pages that I need displaying on my document prior to sending it out for signature. Okay, so here we go. Thank you for your business. Excited to work with you. And then again, here's my scope of work. Okay. Any questions before I move forward? Alrighty. So next thing here, we'll go in, and so now we have our proposal. Everything looks good on our proposal. Maybe we want to add a contract. So we will add a contract for signature, and let's use the monitoring. So I didn't create a default set of templated checkboxes for this document, because I know that majority of the time I'm going to be toggling on and off certain checkboxes. So I'm going to just double check here if I have any checkboxes that I need to select. Right. So I'm just going to select a few items here. And my billing frequency, monthly, and then save. So now that I have my checkboxes set, next thing I'll do is, again, just preview this just in case to make sure that my documents are displaying as expected with what I need. Okay, we have all of that information here, the checkboxes that I selected. And so now I am ready to send for signature. So I generated my proposal, my contract. I'm now going to click on my back button here, and I can either email the document because I don't want it to go through electronic signing and I want the customer to review it, or I can start the e-sign process. Okay, so what I'll do for now is let's start the e-sign process. For those of you, again, using QuoteAnywhere, you have the ability to sign documents on the device, or an email will get sent to your main contact. So in this case, I'm going to just show you what it would look like. So I'm going to click Sign Documents. Okay. So it's just this is just letting me know that I had a quote package that I previously sent out or flagged as sent. And so now it's just confirming, hey, are you sure you want me to send an invite to void out whatever invite you may have sent prior? And I'm going to say yes. And so what this is doing is it's generating the PDFs, and it's now packing it up and going into our DocuSign portal to again get packaged up and an email sent to my contact. Currently, the signing on device is only available for those of you that are using DocuSign. eOriginal will be available. It's currently in the quality assurance testing phase, but it will be available eventually. But right now, DocuSign is the only one that has sign-on device. Okay, so let's say you're in front of the customer. They come in here. They've gotten an email in their mailbox for something to sign, but they also have the ability, you're in front of them, you also have the ability to sign on device. This is available not only on a website, but it is on the website, tablet, or desktop or laptop. You can sign on device on an iPad or a Galaxy tablet. So now let's go click sign on device. What this is going to do is it's now directing me to our DocuSign portal. Okay. And so this is what your customer will see, right? Just the agreeing to sign electronically, continuing, and then starting right here. So now as the customer, they get this. Great. And now they get to finish it. All right, so now we close the tab. And now you, as the salesperson or the next signer, will have the ability to do the same thing, sign on the device. Okay, so just going through this process here. Okay, and now we're going to finish. So now in the DocuSign portal, it's going to say everybody has fully signed. For those of you that are using Reestimate, if you open up the desktop, you will see the green square around your electronic signing icon because everybody has finished this DocuSign process. Okay. Next thing you'll see as well is that it's been sent. It's been flagged as sent as well. That's happening in the background. And at that point, if there's any further changes, you will need to create a new quote package, a new revision to send out. Okay. Any questions on this so far? And let me know if I am going too quickly. I know this may be new to some of you, so if this is a new view, definitely let me know if I need to go through some things. Okay. So now that we've gone through the DocuSign process or the eSignature process, what I want to go through as well in QuoteAnywhere, I'm just going to close these tabs, is I do want to talk about maintaining these proposals and utilizing revisions. Okay. The purpose of revisions is to make sure that you can have multiple quote packages that are sent out to a customer of yours without skewing your sales data. So in the event, let's say that you have a job where you are quoting to the Domino factory, for instance. So let's open up an existing job. So let's just say at this point, my total sell price is $12,795 with all of the items that are included in here. What I'd want to do is I do want to send it to the customer. So I will go into my Documents tab and I can email the document if I wanted to actually send an email to them. Okay, so I'll just do that. Okay, so there's my standard email and I want to send the email. What this is going to do is it's going to take the document or documents from that quote package, and it is going to email whoever is in the 2 lines here. As you can see, you can add recipients as well if you needed to. Okay. And it's just sending a PDF. In that PDF, with that PDF, they will get that the signature here displayed on that email body as well. And you can also see that the subject, you can change that subject if you'd like. All right. So now, just trying to see if I can get the email sent to me so you can see what it would look like. Okay, maybe it's going to take some time. Okay, so at that point, it's been flagged as sent, or should be. So this would be flagged as sent. It should be flagged as sent automatically. Sorry. Let me mark this as sent. Okay. All right. So now what you're going to end up seeing is that you're going to have 2 revisions. One is for the $12,795, and if I had another revision or revision 2, I would also have another one with possibly a different template or possibly different dollars. If I wanted to make changes, for instance, and let's say I don't want the access folder at all, I'm going to highlight that and where's my, oops, access folder. I'm going to now create, sorry, I apologize. I'm going to create a separate quote package. As you'll notice, because I can't edit a quote package that's been flagged as sent. All right, so I'm going to create a new quote package and select a specific quote package. I'm going to add this. Okay, so again, now I want to delete my access folder. So again, I highlighted the folder name and just I'm going to take that trash can and delete it. So now my total sell price is now down to $12,011. And I only have the CCTV. So now let's say this is now a new revision because the customer came back and they said, hey, that access system I don't need. Let's go through with just the CCTV. Now what I'll do is I'm going to go to my document tab, and I could either sign the e-sign process, email them, or I can simply flag it as sent, right? Now, the reason why, for those of you that are new, the reason why I want to flag revisions as sent is what it's doing is it's not just flagging something that it was sent to a customer, but it's also saving work that I may have completed. And there's a possibility of going back and forth, with negotiations with a customer that they may say, you know what, my budget, my budget was increased, so let's put the access back into play here. So what I can do, first of all, is look at my different quote packages and all my revisions, right? So this revision had, the 12,000. This revision had the 12,000 as well, but maybe the scope of work was different. And then this revision 3 was the very last revision that I just sent out. Okay. If I decide that, hey, I want to revert back to my 12,000, what I can do is I can click select here. So now this is my 12,000. I drop this down and I'm going to sync to the workspace. Because at that point, this is the document or the revision I now want to actively work on. Okay. Next thing is the reason why, and the other important part is that when you are sending, when you're flagging quote packages as sent and using revisions, your active quote is what is being reported against being out in the hopper. It is not taking a sum of these 3 quote packages or these 3 quotes, and in turn, not skewing your sales numbers. So for those of you that are managers, when you are looking at your users' reports, it should only be a total of 12,000, not 36,000. Okay. Any questions on here?
We do have 2 questions, Michelle.
Mm-hmm.
One question is, if the document was sent, can it be resent?
You would have to create a new quote package. When you're saying when a document is sent, has the document been just emailed or was it sent for electronic signature? If it was just emailed, you can always resend the email. But if it is an electronic signing quote package that was sent, you would have to create a brand new quote package to send the email out for signature.
Right. And then we have another question. When you email the document and it goes straight to the customer and no longer gets emailed to the salesperson like it did in ReEstimate, is that correct?
You have that choice so that's where you have the ability to. So let's do that here. When you email the document, by default, it brings in your main contact. You would just need to select who else you'd want to get it sent to. So for instance, John Appleseed is the user, so I can select John Appleseed to get the email as well.
And just to follow up on the original question, if the doc was sent, can it be resent? It was sent for signature.
Yeah. So if it's sent for, so just adding that. So again, if it was sent for eSignature, whether it's eOriginal or DocuSign, you would have to create a brand new quote package to resend the invite for signature. All right. Good questions. Very good questions. All right. I mean, if anybody has any other questions, definitely happy to go through anything else. And of course, if there's any follow-up questions, it's one of those things that when you're watching a presentation, it may not be something that comes up right away. So definitely feel free to email support. But and of course, don't be shy. As Melissa mentioned earlier, there might be other people on the webinar that may find your questions useful and may trigger something else as well.
Okay, if that's it for the questions. Any other further questions? No, I don't see any. Okay, great. Thanks everybody for joining us. We hope you learned some good information to take back for yourselves and share with your teams. If you need to reference this webinar again, it will be posted on our website by this time tomorrow on our website under Education Training Webinars. Don't forget to mark your calendars for our upcoming webinars. The next webinar we have is Accounting Integration Highlights, Configuration, Mapping, Job Import, and more. That will be Tuesday, May 12th from 1 to 2. And then we also have QuoteAnywhere 101, Lead to Close Walkthrough, Tuesday, May 19th, 1 to 2 p.m. Thanks everyone for joining again. We really appreciate your time today. Have a great rest of the day. Thanks.